Welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode, and this is very important because we will discuss about entertainment industries. We have our world famous speakers. He's also CTO of ETT. Beside that, we have our another new guest, Madam Richa. She is from entertainment industries from India. So hopefully today's session will be very important for our audience and very interesting for our audience. I want to start from Professor David Smith. How you want to analyze these entertainment industries, and specifically, I know you have one of the largest technology companies. Already Malaysian governments and many corporations, they are very interested about your corporations. How you want to share some of your technological things with our entertainment industry in Malaysia and Asia Pacific.
Sharif, really enjoy this topic because the entertainment industry today is actually becoming more and more of a complex industry. And as you see it, and as particularly as it recovers from the impacts of COVID, it's really coming out and working pretty well. Well, I just sent you that one, Sharif, and that's just a great illustrator of it. Because if you look at what happens in an internet minute, and you go around the charts, particularly how it changed from 2020 to 2021, most of the sources up there are entertainment. Many are entertainment media, many are different places. But to consider the numbers of the times you see in there, like if you look at the Netflix numbers, let me pull up where I can read on mine. In 2020, 764,000 hours were watched every minute on the internet. Uh, if I look today in Netflix, for example, 28,000 subscribers are online in Netflix watching every internet minute. And that's, you know, 24 hours a day to begin to see that. And again, every minute, it just shows you how pervasive media and content has become. Their Price Waterhouse Coopers has brought out a forecast, and in the forecast, they're saying that the global entertainment industries are expected to generate $2.6 trillion in revenue by 2025. And I tell you what, for an industry to generate $2.6 trillion in a year, that's a really a global name changer as you're looking forward with it. And the global entertainment industry did take a hit because of COVID. If you look at the movie industry, 4/5 of the movies industry went away because of COVID and impact. Uh, there is still today over a third of the movie theaters have not reopened because of COVID restriction impacts. So, really big changes as you're beginning to look through that industry and go. But on the other hand, we're seeing that overall the entertainment industry has about a 5% compound annual growth rate going forward, which really puts it in a great position. And just looking at streaming video alone, streaming video is supposed to hit $94 billion in 2025. And you begin to look at that as an indicator of where it's going. And streaming video gets you into the multiple platform discussion. And I see a lot of this in generations today, in that many people of my age would prefer to go and see a movie in a theater, or we would prefer to see it on our 80-inch TV set. But yet, the younger generation, many of them prefer to have it up close and personal on their mobile device, and will use it that way as an audience of one versus an audience of many. And that's one of the trends that we really see impacting the entertainment industry today as you are looking through it. Um, the other thing that many people don't realize when you look at the entertainment industry is gaming is a part of the entertainment industry. And if you look at the pure numbers, it is actually the largest segment by itself in entertainment. And gaming constitutes all types of games, from uh, pure entertainment games to serious games to games that are being used even in educational purposes. So again, entertainment industry is fairly complex in its makeup and is one that is continuing to grow and in continuing to influence people globally. I was reminded just yesterday that in the past, entertainment movies, entertainment television series, entertainment games tended to roll out regionally and would take time to become a global rollout. Today, most of the big brands, most of the big things are rolling out globally all at the same time. So, just to me, even underscores the importance of the entertainment industry to the citizens, to the governments, and to the countries involved. So I think that's a quick intro.
Mhm. Thank you, Professor David Smith. We have our another expert from entertainment industry, Madam Richa Khandawal. So, Madam, how you want to analyze this topic and how you want to share your experience with our audience?
Yeah, hello, Professor David, and hello, Sharif. It's really nice to be on this platform, and I will bring in a practitioner's viewpoint because my experience of being in the entertainment business helps me to understand practically on the ground what's happening, what's changing, how are we adapting to the new reality, especially in the post-COVID world. Things have changed tremendously. So we need to kind of look at how the consumers, which is our end customer, our audience, is really consuming the entertainment content, which is very different from how things used to be 2 years back. So I would say I'm going to talk about how in the post-COVID world, today the entertainment business standing to me as a practitioner. So my film recently made it to one of the major OTT platforms, MX Player, and it's a very simple film, a very beautiful documentary film, which has now got international audience, and that is a very big indicator to the fact that now the entertainment business is getting democratized. I feel with new OTT platforms coming in, with the independent filmmaking industry, which is the indie filmmaking, gaining its strength, and lower budget films making it to a much wider audience through festivals like Sundance, which have been forever, but through the new OTT platforms. Companies like Netflix and Amazon now starting to openly look for, even Hotstar, so many companies, MX Player, they're looking for shorter form content, or content that is not exactly billion-dollar or million-dollar productions. They are okay with non-starry content. They're okay with content that is closer to the ground, even if it is fiction. So, in my understanding, it's really good news because the audience base has increased tremendously, and particularly with everyone having access to the screen in any part of the world, everyone having access to their own little their own little theater on their phones with their earphones and headphones and whatnot. We now have we now have the democratization of the entertainment business happening like never before. Like never before. We started. India is a culturally a very, very vibrant country with a huge history, a beautiful history of theater, of folk theater, of performances, of dances, and so on. So we've always been culturally extremely expressive in terms of entertainment. So our entertainment industry actually goes way back, and from there it used to be a central place where you would have the performances happening and the audience gathering there, to the transition till today's day and age where in the same household you would see five screens playing five different content at the same time with five different rooms, and nobody knows who's watching what. So this is the true reality. This is the truth of the entertainment business today. I feel as filmmakers, we need to really gear up to that reality. We need to present to audience now more content-driven package, content-driven stories, or really hard-hitting, true to life, well-researched, true to the ground realities. We cannot now depend on the formulae that existed earlier, which have really been talked about in plenty of screenwriting books and so on. We talk Robert Mickey in his book Story talks about reheating the Hollywood leftovers. So those things cannot happen anymore. Those big budget movies are not doing well at the box office because they're sticking to the same old formulae, so to say. And films by younger filmmakers, by new filmmakers, by filmmakers with just a small camera, even iPhones, small cameras, they are making it to the bigger festivals. They are getting the Oscars. They are getting the eyeballs and millions of views. So we need to, I think we need to now cater to this new age world of indie filmmaking taking over, where it's just a matter of a few more years when we will see that millions and millions of dollars are actually going to be pumped into the indie filmmaking industry. It's going to be recognized because the quality of content, the originality of the stories, the power of the narrative with original characters and stories that we have seen independently, individually, at the ground, and stories that human beings, individual human beings, want to tell, not necessarily for some kind of a commercial packaging, but just for the passion of storytelling. I think that's going to survive, and that's the biggest victory that we have at hand today. I don't know if Professor David agrees with me, but this is how I see things happening on the ground.
Mhm. Thank you, Professor David Smith. Very interesting point actually bring by Madam Richa, and especially yes, I know the Indian culture, even Malaysia has different cultural things, but we love to learn more about American cultures. What America has their own cultural things because I can remember like Rabindranath Tagore's. I think he write national anthem for both Bangladesh and India. Even in my childhood, I visited the house like Kutibari. It's a Rabindranath house, Tagore house, and many interesting cultural things. Even personally, I gain experience. So, but what is American cultures? What they have in their soil? We love to learn.
Well, to me, she made a lot of great points, and I have to admit I have some bias here.
Mhm.
My undergraduate degree was in radio, television, and film,
Oh,
and
excellent.
I had been a roadie on concert tours with the Beach Boys and the Carpenters in the past. So I kind of understand the environment, and I was a national officer of the International Television Association many years ago.
Mhm.
And back then, you would like this. Our portable cameras had a backpack and a cable going to the camera,
Mhm.
and it really wasn't portable at all. So we've come a long ways to get to where we are today. But one of the things I'm seeing is a lot of the trends here is beginning to talk about happening, and they're really happening globally. Even as you look here with what we're doing today, and there's some of the places where we see things happening just in very similar paths. The growth of the independent is really going there because during COVID, uh, a lot of the production studios closed, and so you saw the movement away from big production studios, which typically knocked out television programs, they knocked out series, they worked on these things. They had fewer projects because they actually shut down, and you saw fewer productions going on. So that really pushed the shift more to the independents. Same thing in the music industry. This shift during COVID and post COVID has been moving more to the independents. Even though I do admit I have been to multiple music festivals and concerts in the last 2 months. And while, like at the Austin City Limits Music Festival, there were probably only 100,000 people there, but that is down about 50% from normal. It was a fantastic festival, um, and beginning to go there. But we're seeing the trends coming back. But what is interesting to me, to answer more directly your question, is that there are concerns that are in the industry because of these shifts that we've seen. And one of the big shifts we've seen is that some of the trends from the pandemic, I think, are here to stay, and such as the growing market dominance of the digital sales, the streaming services, gaming, and particularly the user generated content that really builds upon what she was saying before too. But why has this happened? And yes, she talked about the fact that today our consumer centric devices have the more resolution than many of the pro devices of a decade ago. But what has driven that is connectivity is what's driving growth. Connectivity in our homes is letting these new services come back and grow so rapidly. It would be hard to stream the digital content we have today if we were back using DSL speeds, where we see many. I mean, I'm fortunate here. I have a gigabit services coming into my home, and so I can do multiple things at the same time. But this digital connectivity is driving it for the consumer side. But the digital connectivity is also driving it on the production side too. I can now do uh, I can now produce songs digitally over the internet with my performers being thousands of miles apart. I can begin to produce more entertainment shows, particularly the indies, like she was talking about, because of the digital connectivity. And I can actually record and stream to another location, have an editor editing on them 1,000 miles away again while we're in production doing it. And what that's also doing is it's shortening the amount of time it takes to produce the final content that you want to distribute on it. So this connectivity, as it's driven many things, it is really there. And the other thing that is really interesting to me as a result of enhanced by COVID is live entertainment. And I do not mean necessarily uh, just concerts and music and stuff, but we begin to see where virtual reality is coming in, where the participants can be part of the entertainment. Here in the United States, you asked one of the questions, and we're seeing drive-in movies come back very rapidly here, where you do have the experience, but then you have the whole experience of the other people in their cars, out of the cars, participating in the movie, and it kind of reminds me of the type of participation like when I was back in college with Rocky Horror Picture Show, where everyone in the theater became involved with and sang with it. And and you see that growing, and that connectivity and the fact that everything's digital is making it possible to have all these areas where content is having to produce to meet the demands. And we're seeing new criterias for what is success in media because of those. Now, I have to, because of my background, kind of hit some of the other side of it, though. There are really some concerns you see in this area as you begin to get moving forward because of this push to digitalization, this push over the digital connectivity. And one of them that's affecting consumers and corporations today is the whole area of data privacy. It's not just as we look at the streaming content, but as we look at virtual reality systems, the VR, the AR, and all of them beginning to line up, and there's privacy going in there, and you see that the whole Pokemon Go phenomenon beginning to do a little bit of augmented reality with that privacy concerns cap up, and and really went there. And one of the challenges, and as you look at the entertainment industry, they do not have a good track record at all so far in data privacy. There's also some antitrust concerns beginning to come up in the whole entertainment area because you're seeing other companies begin to move in and capitalize. One of the places I go to for a lot of my digital content is I'm an Amazon Prime user. But you see Amazon, you see Google and others, and there's increasing discussion in the regulatory environment about whether they are beginning to violate some of the antitrust laws as it pertains particularly to streaming media and that type of content. So, you see that really going in there and what's happening. The other one is really, we do not understand today at all what it's going to be like. And I want to use the term post COVID.
Mhm.
We don't even know what post COVID means today.
Mhm.
But as we look at coming out of where we are today with a pandemic, and the entertainment industry has been shaped very dramatically by the pandemic and how that's going to work. And you're going to see, how do we do it? And how do we put the pieces together? And actually, one of the questions that just flashed across the screen, it talked about how we're going to use our computer in the entertainment area. I think as you look at the word computer, is we have to really take a broader definition of what a computer is today. You know, is your smartphone a computer? Yes, it is. The chips that are in your car, and I can stream content into my cars and my vehicles. Is that a computer? Well, it is a digital chip. But I like to ask people, name me a device that takes power, costs more than $100, and doesn't have a chip in it.
Mhm.
There's not many. And so as we look at some of these questions like this, we have to understand that the real key is it's digital content, it's being delivered digitally, and the connectivity is the key to making it happen. So, Sharif, I hope that kind of answered some of your questions.
Mhm. Thank you, Professor David Smith. We have our great friend, Mr. Eric from Pacific Rim Business Council, and he's CEO of PRBC, right? Or PRCC?
Pacific Rim Business Council, PRBC,
Yes,
that's right.
exactly. So, thank you for joining today. We are discussing about uh, entertainment industries. There are many important aspects coming, but from our audience, actually, she love to learn more about gaming industries. Uh, she want to know that this gaming industry is a part of this entertainment industries, and what will be the future of gaming industry. I know you are a tech guy and you have excellent contribution in technology. So, Mr. Eric, how you want to analyze these issues?
Well, you may not know, but I also work for a distributed metaverse gaming company.
Mhm.
So that's part of my current doctoral research, is all about the advantages of the social metaverse over the social media.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of confusion about what the metaverse is and what's going on. But kind of as David was talking about, um, once upon a time, we learned that you could come get my data without me mailing a hard drive. That was a pretty big moment. I remember that. Here's this, type in these numbers and you can get this file. And then we said, well, why don't we connect all these networks and let's build an infrastructure, we'll call it the World Wide Web, that will allow you to actually find all this data. And then they said, well, it's not just data. How about if you can use my infrastructure? How can you use my applications? How can you use my gaming environment? How can you use any tools and softwares and infrastructure, desktop, all that kind of stuff. And then the social media say, well, that's great. Social metaverse says, well, that's great, but why should I care where I am? I mean, if you make something great in Facebook, why can't I mix that with something that's great in Google? And why can't I make that with something that's great in Uber or anything? Why can't I call an Uber from? So most people think of the metaverse. In fact, if you look at the definition of Google, it focuses on 2D and 3D. And that's not really what it's about. That's just like the World Wide Web lives on the internet, you know, the metaverse can live in 2D or 3D. So what we're seeing is this blending of all medias. In other words, let's say, Sharif, that you create a bunch of characters that live in Malaysia and have all these fun, exciting things. And David, Enrique, and I, we get excited about it and we want to join your team and we want more. And then you publish these NFTs. So now with NFTs running on the blockchain, that means you can protect all your characters. And in fact, if I get one and I'm excited about getting one of 20 and then I sell it to David, well, you can get paid again if that's in your blockchain. So you keep track of actual property and you can keep track of commissions. And that's pretty good. But then they go make music about it, then somebody else makes a movie, then we have a conference. So thinking of, Amazon Prime meets Comic-Con, meets independent film festivals. So what we're saying is basically this idea that we love characters like Star Wars, and now at the same time I go get a Star Wars action figure and I get a non-fungible token, and I get that character in this card that's over that, and then I get the independent film that covers one of the characters, and then David hosts a group and we all get on there and talk about how great that is. So entertainment, I think, within the social metaverse is blending the big content providers who are spending $1 billion on content, like Amazon and Disney and Netflix, are meeting independent film festivals versus people that just love talking about this stuff versus the people get the. In fact, we're right now building a metaversal store where people can publish and buy all this stuff. So when you look at what's driving this, it's really kind of 4 things. First is the ability that people like to play. And I view play as anything that's fun. So if we all love business and like doing this, we're not getting paid. We're doing this for fun. So this is play. And when people play, somebody starts creating stuff. And then after they start creating stuff, then they want to share it. And after they share it, it turns into these sustainable organizations and groups. So I think it's all about the social metaverse, which, as David said, goes through all computers, and it's all about people playing, creating, sharing, and then thriving into big organizations. So that's kind of a long answer, but that's how I see it.
Thank you, Mr. Eric. Madam Richa Khandawal, there is one of the issues I think I get from the youth community from Malaysia. How do we spend our free time meaningful on weekdays? I think there are a lot of contents. So, Madam Richa, can you hear me? I think there is an internet problem. Professor David Smith. So, if you respond these questions for on behalf of our audience want to know, how do we spend our free time meaningful on weekdays? Because I think she is a student. Yeah.
Oh, particularly with her being student, I will give her a different answer, and one that she might not fully like is that today we are in an age of lifelong learning, and part of the way that people begin to spend their weekdays as they're employed, as they're doing other things, is they have to devote part of that weekday to lifelong learning. I can tell you my company, in our portfolio companies, a large percentage of our developers, of the other people like that, they will take online boot camps, other things like that during the week. to be able to stay up to date. Because in the technology area today, I believe the half-life of most of the current information is only about 3 years. And so you're constantly having to be updated. Where do we spend our other time? I spend a fair amount of my time in watching user-generated content, things like TED Talks, other things like that beginning to go forward and use it. I spend part of my time looking at pure entertainment programs of all different types and how those going. But I also spend a fair amount of my week time in building relationships. I can now digitally build relationships globally that in the past would have been difficult to do and maintain. And I can easily shift from talking to friends in Brazil to talking to a friend in Singapore to a friend in UAE, all within an hour's time, and think nothing of it today. Nor really worry about the cost of doing it, because the cost has fallen to almost zero for those activities today. Um, but what part of what, as Eric talked about on the metaverse side, there's so many different definitions of what the metaverse is going to be today. But we know it's going to be a inclusive environment, inclusive in the people who can use it, inclusive in the technologies that are implied to it, inclusive in the type of content that's going to be deployed on it, inclusive that it's going to be used for government, it's going to be used for commerce, it's going to be used for education, it's going to be used for entertainment, and it's becoming increasingly used in the metaverse for daily activities as well. So that is one of the promises as we see the metaverse a decade down the road, is it will be a very inclusive set of services, activities that will touch all the various stakeholders you have in the global ecosystem.
And I like to say, just David, I think, is reiterating this idea of it's about play, and play is learning. Play is getting together with people that have shared values or shared interests. And if you enable the environment that they live in to do that, to create, then people start creating things, and businesses create things. Both people and groups and businesses create things which are all accessible. And then if they create things, they get shared, and the metaverse helps us do that. And if they share, then people turn this little lemonade stand they created somewhere into some thriving organization. I mean, right now there are people making tons of money. You wonder why Facebook suddenly became Meta, because people are already making a lot of money. There are kids that are artists creating it that are making in these six figures of money right now. But the key with the metaverse is when Richa creates that, we can access it. Maybe she does it for free. Maybe she does it to get paid. It doesn't matter. But the idea is it doesn't matter where I am on this thing. I have access to it, and I can find it and it. So I say we spend our time playing, creating, sharing, and growing.
And Eric hasn't gotten to hear this point from me, though, and I just want to let him hear it because it 100% echoes what he says. Sharif, you've heard me say 25 times that geography today is no longer about a point on a map. Geography is where you find the competencies, the capabilities, the relationships to get things done. And what we're talking about today really underscores completely that geography is no longer about a point on a map.
Thank you, Madam Richa. I want to give you floor, but I have a specific question for you because you are from India. In the South Asia, definitely India playing leading role with entertainment industry, with Bollywood, with different musics, even televisions, everything. India is one of the best possible things. In some point, there is some complaint how the India right now promoting the cultures. with the different serials, movies, and other things. Because I'm from India, even Malaysia, I know they are big fan of Rajanikanth, big fan of Shah Rukh Khan, big fan of Amir Khan. This is the big brand, even in Malaysia. So what do you want to say? Because do you believe that entertainment industry they can influence people, and they should promote some valuable thing which will help them to grow a knowledge-based community? What do you think?
Okay, you put me on a spot here because I actually have very strong opinions about this subject. I have actually because of the way things are, I have actually started a movement to create something which is the opposite of what's happening. I want to create a parallel entertainment industry in India to begin with the rural art forms, the folk art forms, the traditional art forms, they having a platform. So what's happening is there's a huge divide right now. So at one end, you mentioned Bollywood. It's just not Bollywood. There's so many local regional language industries here in India, which are all independent of each other actually. And they're doing very well. They're thriving, earning millions and millions. So there are these mainstream entertainment industries in India, mainstream entertainment pockets in India, television, film, and now of course OTT is really picking up. They're making a lot of money. There are mainstream players there, but then there is this parallel set of artists, creators. As Eric said, no, let's create the creators, the soulful artists, the independent artists, the hungry artists. In the US, when I used to live in New York, David, I used to live in New York, and we used to have this really, and in Canada, we used to be proud to call ourselves the hungry artists, and we have these people who just eat, breathe, sleep, and live their art form. There's nothing else in their life other than their dance or music or visual art, or that's all they do. That's all they know to do. And those people right now, they are they are struggling. And during COVID years, we've had people who've had to really give up their art form and take up other professions, like even being, security guards or whatnot, because they have to survive. They have to feed themselves. So at one hand, you have these really centralized, pouring in of money into Bollywood and other major film industries in India. And on the other hand, you have this parallel industry in the rural areas, in the smaller towns and cities and so on, where there's not enough food to eat for the artists and they're really struggling. So we intend to bridge that gap. And my organization, it's called Narayana's Art Nirbhar Bharat Foundation. We have taken it upon ourselves to enable the artists living in the other part of it, because India is really heavily rural. How much percentage of Indian public lives in the bigger cities? India is a huge country with a heavy population base in the rural areas. So we need to focus on that, and I'm really like championing that cause. It's called Art Nirbhar Bharat. It's called Bharat is India, and Art Nirbhar means financially self-reliant using the arts, on the arts. So learn the arts, earn from the arts, and that's the parallel entertainment industry we need to create, and we are creating. And I have to say this very proudly. I used to live in Schenectady in New York, in upstate, and I worked at Proctor's Theatre. I don't know, David, if you've heard of Proctor's. Proctor's at Schenectady, that's where I used to work as a television producer. And my roots go back there, and I had really learned so much there. And it's like second home to me, and it's really a matter of, I feel really blessed to be able to apply a lot of that knowledge and a lot of that experience to what I'm doing in India right now. And I definitely, once again, want to say that I will not comment on what the Khans of the world or which stars mean what, and I don't want to be judgmental about anyone. But I want to say that, as I said earlier, democratization of the entertainment business is what's happening. It needs to happen more. We need to give voice, platform, capability, support, strength, encouragement to artists of all genres, of all capabilities, from all regions, from all countries, from all financial capabilities. and help them, and from all kinds of sectors, and help them represent themselves on mainstream platform. We need to hear more variety. That's what I believe in. We need to hear the voice of everyone. And I have to say something to to add to what Eric was talking about earlier. So the time is of creating something. So David mentioned earlier that we sit in one place, and I can have a collaborator sitting in Ireland and doubling, sending me some one track, and the other track comes in from Africa, and the third track comes in from somewhere, and there's this music on GarageBand for that matter. And you have music production happening like this. You have film production happening like this. And the other thing that's happening is, which we really need to address in this forum, is that the future of the entertainment industry is in the hands of AI. It's in the hands of artificial intelligence. There are softwares writing scripts. There are softwares writing dialogue. There are softwares editing trailers based on formulae. So for human beings like us to be able to survive in the business, we need to be extra creative. We need to not rely on any traditional language or knowledge or system or whatever. We need to now be very soul driven. I don't know if you believe in that. I do believe in that. We need to be more individual, soul driven. We need to provide to the business, to the machines, what the machines cannot provide, which is the human soul, which is the human experience, which is the humanity of it. I think this is where the future of entertainment industry, not in just India, but anywhere in the world lies. And I just really want to reiterate the fact we need to democratize, we need to give power to the hands of artists and creators who are probably not endowed with millions of dollars in their hands, but want to say something, want to present a film, want to entertain the world, and they want to be out there as entertainers.
So if I could add something to
Yes.
that, what
Yes.
Rika's basically talking about is the two pieces of that. One, of course, is create. So it's getting easier for everybody to create, even collaboratively, whatever. But one of the big things that's a challenge is the share part, because there's two things. There's the democratization where people are saying it's free, it's cheap, everybody should create, like with the NFT craze. If you don't know what's going on, people are creating these characters and things on blockchain. It can be very inexpensive to create and share. But when it comes to especially the streaming media, there's let everybody do it very cheaply. And there's even blending that mix between let's go in person to my rural place and let's share what we're doing with the rest of the world. So that should be easy. But there's also among big players saying, well, let's come up with formats and technology that's very, very expensive that we can control. So if you're not part of the club, you don't get in. And yet there's over 2,500 individual film festivals, which you could share over the world with the right technology. And people are doing that. They're actually creating technology where you can buy an in-person ticket or you can buy a streaming ticket. And it's becoming very cheap to do that. But like I said, there's a big backlash of people saying, no, we want it to be like you go to the big theater and, pay lots of money and invest a lot to do that. So that's going to be one of the challenges, is people trying to create platforms and say, yes, you create and share, but it's only if you do it on my meta platform and stick here. And people saying, no, that's not what it's about. It's about anything that you can blend in. And if David wants to have his group as part of that, or Oxford, to talk about what Rika just showed at her local festival, that should be blended too. So there's a big thing of people trying to control the means of creation and sharing, and people trying to democratize it right now, and that's happening as we speak.
Excellent. There is one question from our friend Mr. Daniel. Professor David Smith and all of our speaker can respond. Is the current internet sustainable in the long term, or will it keep inevitably fracturing into many internet? Professor David Smith.
Daniel, that's a great question. And I actually was privileged to do a forecast a few years ago on what the internet of 2050 would look like. And so what you have is a complex answer. And my answer to your exact question is the internet's going to continue to grow incrementally. You're not going to see breakthrough type of innovations in the internet. Why? Because the internet's global. No one controls the internet, really. And what you're going to see there. So one of the examples I like to use when people ask me questions like yours is, didn't you get the email that the internet's going to go down on Friday for 10 days while it's upgraded to a new internet? No, that can't happen. But because you can't do something like that, where you cannot do what's called a forklift upgrade, a massive upgrade like that, the internet's going to incrementally grow. Now, your question is, are there going to be multiple intranets on it? The answer is there are yesterday. But the common theme to the majority of these intranets is that they all connect to the internet. And so it's really more of a group. There's two laws, technology laws that you're directly working on. One of them is the Metcalfe's law. And Bob Metcalfe, he's one of the inventors of Ethernet, a good friend here in Austin. And his law basically says the value of the internet and the value is directly proportional to the number of connections. And we've seen that over the years as the internet has continued to grow. But there's another law which is called Reed's law. And I think Reed's law gets into the question you asked. David Reed put together a law that says it's not just the number of the connections, but it's the forming and reforming groups that really create the majority of the value in these digital connections. And I think that gets to the root of your question. We're going to continue to see across the internet and across the intranets and across other domains that come into place, which are private nets, like for large live events and things, that will continue to be forming, reforming, self-forming. And that's the future, I think, we're going to see of our digital connectivity on the internet. We have to remember, though, today, over 65% of all communications on the internet are machine to machine. And there's not a human in that loop at all. That percentage is going up. So the percentage of human interaction on the internet will be going down as we go forward too. And that's going to continue to shape what the internet's going to be in the future. And there's a concept of taking cloud computing and pushing cloud computing to the edge of the cloud, because you want more intelligence there, you want lower latency, you want the ability to have data kept where data is generated. While today that's really looking at sensors and Internet of Things type devices, which Internet of Things, I believe, is going to have a huge impact in the entertainment industry. But this whole concept of edge of cloud computing has changed how the internet can deliver content, how the internet can interact with real world sensors, and will create new entertainment forms as we combine that machine to machine sensor environment with what we can do in the entertainment industry, particularly as we transition to an edge of cloud architecture that makes it very viable to do that.
Well, people continue. I mean, the internet, if you look at what it is, it's really a series of layers. And in every layer, there's tons of people working to improve the standards and add to it. On the same time, people can do whatever they want, create whatever network you want. If you want to plug in, you just use those standards and it works. And then we build the World Wide Web, which is, again, a set of protocols and standards which allow us to share things across that internet. Well, I think that all that's happening is right now we share images and web pages, and what we're talking about is sharing anything. And so as those standards evolve, like right now, you can create, since we're talking about gaming and internet, you can create a game. And if it's running on blockchain, the difference is if you go to Facebook, they won't give you their data on what's going on. They're just not to. And we're not talking about personal data. We're just talking about data of what faces, how many transactions, where it's going. But they're gaming environments right now where they'll give you the data. So if David or Rika wants to go develop something on there, they can actually have that data to build something on top of something and then build something on. That's happening right now. So people are creating these games that are distributed on Discord, online, Telegram, Facebook. I mean, they're already distributing these communications in these games, and then somebody's building on top of that. They're even giving them the code. And so they're building these standards and platforms which allow you to share all kinds of stuff on top of what somebody, and that's what's different. What we've seen lately is somebody build Zoom and people build things that run on Zoom. Like there's learning environments right now which just use Zoom and make it better. Well, people are building these capabilities and people are just building on top of that and getting together. That's happening. So that's what I see is happening. The internet is the OSI stack continues to develop as people argue that, but now they add just like 5G is another one, or even our mobile has become part of the internet. That's evolving. So what's going to evolve is the ability to share. So it makes it easier for you to find people that you have common interests and common values with and play, create, share. So I don't think the internet's always been fragmented. If you go look at what's out there, there's enclaves, there's private. The only thing that's changed is it makes it easier to put them together and share stuff, and that's going to continue to evolve.
Thank you, Madam Rita. I think there are some interesting point for internet. So
Yeah, I think I just want to say, I was just listening to what Eric was saying, and I think that if internet is one big invention of our times, okay, internet is one big invention of our times. I'm actually wondering, and I'm actually sorry, but I'm really honestly bored of the kind of development that's happening in the science world as far as the entertainment industry is concerned. Because, okay, you have had those times when the science industry, the science world was inventing things that had never been seen before. Now, everything is just a better version of what was. Okay, internet is faster. 4G, 5G, 7G, 10G, but where are we going to go? But it's just getting better. There's nothing new or groundbreaking or, oh my God, this is amazing. I am not able to find that kind of innovation happening. This is maybe it's just my limited worldview, but I feel that much of the invention, much of the innovation that has happened earlier on in our century, and of course, like from post-Renaissance time till maybe the early 1900s, whatever invention had to happen, pretty much has happened. And after that, there's mainly the internet. But other than that, we are just getting better and better and better. Okay, it's a sleeker phone. Okay, it's a phone that folds. Okay, it's a 5G internet. Okay, it's another layer of internet. Okay, it's another capability. But there's no, I would say there's no groundbreaking, crazy invention happening in the entertainment business, which is beginning to bother me. And I would tell you this something very funny because I try to do something about things that bother me. So I go around talking in engineering colleges, and they call me for these sessions. They call me to talk in engineering colleges. And I tell them, scientists and engineers need to enter the entertainment business. Not just to make the internet faster or not just to make our cameras better, but to create something groundbreakingly new. Could we ever imagine a movie like E.T. had Spielberg not, like gone out of his mind to just create something new? Had we ever imagined a movie like say Jurassic Park or even Titanic, where James Cameron actually invented an underwater camera? So James Cameron is actually an engineer, and you know that Alfred Hitchcock had an engineering background, and you know that even I don't think Steven Spielberg has, but there are good number of Alfred Hitchcock had engineering background, and James Cameron has. There are engineers and science people with a science background who have entered the entertainment business and added tremendous amount of value and invention. I think that we start with the subject of internet because fine, internet is just a medium to carry the content, but I represent the content industry, I represent the content creator. From my perspective, I think the science and the invention needs to continue to happen in the entertainment business. We need to have new kinds of dinosaurs, maybe dinosaurs walking on the roads. I don't know what, but we need to have stuff that is absolutely unthinkable of right now coming into the entertainment industry, and that is only possible with the marriage of science and the entertainment business. I think that's something I'm really passionate about, and I think that's something that needs to happen.
Yeah, I have some good news and bad news about that. The bad news is some years ago I met with Burt Rutan, and people don't know Burt Rutan. He's the person that made the first flight for two people to go all around the world in one plane without stopping or fueling. He's also the person that launched the first commercial space for civilian astronauts. That was him. And he said they used to come up with one major, huge, completely game-changing, like from prop to jets every decade. And then he said, well, in the last 3 decades, it's been just like what Rika was saying. It was just these evolutionary changes. And he said the primary reason is because the big players don't want to, if you can make money without taking a lot of risk, why not? So the big money, there's so many ways to use money that you're going to get paid, that the risk tolerance has gone down to nothing. In fact, he mentioned, he was saying, he was asking this question: how many times do you think they ran the spaceship that went to the moon? How many times did they rehearse that before they actually left? And the answer is once. They got it to work once and said, okay, let's go to the next. He said, today, that would never happen. You'd have to have 10 of those to make sure it's okay. Then you could go to the moon. So that's the bad news, is there's so many ways to make.
Eric, sorry, I really have to add this point here. What about NASA becoming an entertainment company now? They have a full-time, sorry NASA guys, you have a full-time television channel just streaming that. What about real invention? What about the work that they were supposed to do? Because as you just said, everything has become really safe. Everybody's just worried about the dollar. Everybody's just worried about the paycheck. This is the reason we have become so complacent and so comfortable in our own zones, and nobody's willing to just like blow it all off and just start from scratch. I'm going to live in a tent. I'm okay to live in a tent, but I want to create that new invention. Nobody's saying that.
Well, the good news is, so who is willing to take risk? Small groups, and often young. So those that don't know me, I actually founded an Internet of Things company with 4 25-year-old kids. And so I spent a lot of time helping and supplying and still working with the startup community. And what's new on the scene to me, just within the last few years, is the number of entertainment startups we've seen, a number of investors that are looking to invest in that. So even in things like Y Combinator and all that, we're actually seeing the young and even old people that left the job and are looking for new. And now with the pandemic, there is a lot of money and effort going into entertainment. And that's how come I know about those technologies, which will have a projector that'll stream it in person and over the internet. There's probably 3 of those that I know of that people are going saying, oh, it's cheap. It's cheap, not like the big ones that are going. So while the big players are saying, let's put a lot of money into the stuff we know works. I mean, just think how many remakes are there? Tons. Why? Because they know it worked once. It'll be lower risk because we know people already like it. So, big people are like, yeah, let's do remakes. Let's do this. Young and, small groups are doing all kinds of things. And I'm seeing that level increase if the number of people that are doing entertainment technologies and the number of investors that are investing. It's not huge, but the rate is very high. right now. So that's the good news is, yeah, that stuff I think is happening, but it's, you wish that, Disney would be doing more of that, and Amazon, the studios would be doing more of that. But there are, in Pasadena, there's a group that meets every week, which of course is near Hollywood. And that's all that is. They're discussing the latest entertainment technology. And that includes editing and creating and distributing, all areas of that. And it's happening.
Thank
There's a
you.
very funny. I just want to say one thing, Sharif. Give me the same thing, only a little bit different. That's all. This is what they say with the stories that we present. And
Yes.
this, yeah, give me the same thing, only a little bit different.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there's small groups that are just worrying about that difference, but it takes a while for that to build up and get through. Of course, then once they do that, the big companies go, "Oh yeah, of course, sure. Now we'll put money into it." But they won't do it. All those things are happening now. It won't really
Yes.
push and get in it till they see that there's a real market in that difference.
Mhm. That is the point. That is the point. We develop talent economy. You see our name, World Talent Economy Forum. So talent is everywhere. We always think discussing about investment, about technology, but most of the cases we have to rely on talents. We need to bring more talents because talent will take responsibility. They will invent something new, and industry will invest in the talent economy. So that's why we are doing very hard works. But yes, some point we are getting the recognitions. Even Professor David Ismin, you attend like Malaysian government with the climate change divisions and the Dubai Expo, even with the COP26. Even the many countries, even right now, the Prime Minister office, the different government department, they are joining with us, different corporations, academy. I think more than 109 university join in World Talent Economy Forum. So that is our success. That is the way we are moving forward. So we need to focus on talent. We need to nurture the talents. I learned a very good things from Singapore. One of the professor, even he worked with us, Professor Kirpal. He said just three model. If you follow, the country will be successful like Singapore. Number one, you need to rely on meritocracy. You have to be more focused on talented people. Number two, you have to develop a better policy, like from right wing, from left wing, like Singapore, they introducing better policy. And number three, you have to reduce the corruption. So this is the model of Singapore success. If any country follow this policy, number one, meritocracy, I think this is the major challenge for India, for Bangladesh, for Pakistan. I think uh, all of the things come from that: who is whose son, who is whose relatives, who is who. That is the big issues. But example, we have to rely on talent. We have to develop better policy, and we have to reduce uh, uh, like this corruption. This is one of the best model. I believe that if any country implement it, they will be successful. So for entertainment industry, for cutting edge technology, for climate change, everywhere we need to be more focused on talent, because who invent technology? The talent. Even who is a successful entrepreneur, he is a talent. Who is a successful like academicians or politicians, talents. So we have to be more rely on talents, and we have to reduce different kind of challenge, and we need to work together. Thank you, Madam Richard, Dr. Eric, Professor David Smith, for your continuous support for World Talent Economy Forum. And Madam Richard, how you developing your foundation? I'm really inspired. That's why right the way I invite you, please join with us. So you can join in World Talent Economy Forum, and we have excellent team like worldwide, more than 300 speakers, organizations, academy, politicians. They join in World Talent Economy Forum, and hopefully, because how we growing right now, we are handling at least 10 different countries governments, and they rely on talent economy, and they are collaborating with World Talent Economy Forum. So thank you for all of your support. I directly want to go for the concluding remarks. I think we have our another guest. So before the concluding remarks, I have to thank you, Madam Kimberly. So we are moving for concluding remarks, but I want to give chance Madam Kimberly. She is from IBM TV. So thank you for joining today. Yes.
Thank you for having me, Sharif. It's a pleasure to see you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. We are discussing about entertainment industries. You know, we are developing as a think tank. We are working for developing nations, and definitely we want to collaborate with IBM televisions because we need a lot more support from the media. And you are one of the fastest growing media I know. So, how you want to uh, like share your views about entertainment industries, and you can share your views from IBM televisions. Yes.
Well, first off, thank you for having me today, Sharif. As you know, I've been on a long sabbatical. Let's talk about the entertainment industry and the influences and impact that it can have on humanity in itself. It's all about, so many people believe everything they see and hear, right? And one of the things I've learned is that you have to be very, very careful in what you represent, what you say, how you say it, and to the audience that you say it to. And we just need to be more responsible. And that's one of the things that IBM TV, that's why we started. Nick and I were in the industry for many years doing Money Masters PBS. And we just got tired of the standard industry standards, right? They dropped, they lowered. They were not about telling the truth. It was, we would hear things like, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead. You know, they weren't influencing the good, wonderful, beautiful things that we need to be influencing. They weren't influencing education. They were no longer influencing financial sustainability or influencing health sustainability. They were influencing anger and hate, and they continue to do this. They continue to divide people, and that's not what we're about. Nick and I said we had it. I even told Nick, if I cannot start our own network, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. If I have to hear one more time, if it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead, I'm out. And the other thing that bothered me was how media is gagged. If you go interview, and this is what I did, but certain people, if you go interview them, they give you a list of questions of what you can and cannot say. And in a press conference, sometimes you're listed what you can and cannot say. I mean, this happens they're going to deny it, but it happens everywhere. And I had enough, because you're not influencing the truth of the information. Okay. The information could be wrong, but when you start compiling all data and all information, even if it conflicts each other, then you start developing what the truth is, because somewhere in the middle, the truth exists. And this is what they teach in law school, but this is not certain what they actually do in real life. So the whole idea behind IBM TV is to project not just what we're doing in the United States, but what we're doing globally. And it's very, very important to me for any entertainment platform, be it Facebook, be it YouTube, or any of those social media as well, because to me, they are the largest media platforms. It's very important to be about what is the truth, to stop policing certain people, to be more about stopping the negative impacts that are being made, to help humanity. And we don't do that. It's all about money, and we're finding out about that the hard way.
Thank you, Madam Kim. Thank you for joining today's. You are always available for World Talent Economy Forum. I directly want to go for concluding remarks. Professor David Smith, what's your concluding remarks?
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Sharif, I agree with everything that Kim has said there, that we're beginning to be able to produce for audiences of one. We're beginning to be able to produce for interactive audiences. And as we know, the systems that are being impacted by the entertainment industry are really built upon the systems of systems concept today, more than any time in the past. My recommendation to people in your audience is technology is changing rapidly in these areas. delivery options are changing extremely rapid in these areas. Some of the global trends of privacy, security are trends that this industry needs to become more aware of. The entertainment industry's had an abysmal track record with both privacy and security, and it needs to up it as we become more customized, as the options become more, and as more of the independent media producers grow, and as more of the consumerized content grows. That's just going to be harder and harder to maintain. But to me, it's a great field to get into, and it will continue to evolve. And it is, like we said at the start, it's a $2.6 trillion marketplace by 2025. So there's a lot of opportunity in this industry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Paul, for joining today. We have to go for concluding remarks. So what do you want to share your views about entertainment industries?
I don't know. I came in at a $2 trillion industry. What was that comment? It sounded like a good comment. That was the entertainment industry.
That's the global. That's the PwC market forecast for the global entertainment industry.
The PwC market into that. Oh wow, my jeepers! Well, I do know one thing because I got these 50 years into this stuff. That entertainment, I believe, is the biggest export of America. The entertainment industry, I believe, makes more money than anything here in this country, or used to, worldwide. Entertainment is wonderful. The possibility of using it for very good reasons, for enjoyment, simple, happy, kind, loving, caring stuff, as well as important information. We're involved with now World Water Day, using media as the message and getting the word out about our concerns about water, and we've been doing that for 20 years. So using media for the good is wonderful, and the opportunity to get to billions of people with this little guy and without a big truck and spend a lot of money to make a show is a phenomenon. In fact, I booked Central Park. I don't know if I'm going to go for it because it used to be $7 million. But now I'm thinking, what do I need that for? Let everybody go live. Let the 70,000 people go in there. And I just put the important people on the stage talking about water and let everybody broadcast it. What do I got to get involved? They got their own, everybody's their own producer. Let them speak, say what they want. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Madam Richa, what's your concluding remarks?
Yeah, I believe that, as I said earlier, with artificial intelligence coming in, with the entertainment industry having more platforms than ever before to actually, broadcast any kind of content, we need to, as the entertainment industry, somebody coming from the industry, somebody who's a content creator, from that perspective, I would say that the responsibility on our shoulders to keep the benchmarks high, to keep the quality high, to keep the stories genuine, authentic, true, to keep our characters connected to the audience, to create the kind of brilliant work that our legacy creators have created. That has become our responsibility, because we study cinema. They are our gurus, and we need to carry forward that legacy of the quality of content that the entertainment industry was known for maybe just 30-40 years back. We need to make sure that this sudden spurt in the avenues at which anything can be displayed at any number of, like at any speed, at to any number of people, we need to be the champions and the flag bearers of the legacy that the entertainment industry stands for. I think that's what I believe in. I think the stories and the content has to have quality much more than it has had ever before, and our work becomes even more important, and our responsibility many for that.
Thank you, Dr. Ed. Yes, Mr. Paul.
I just want to say the most powerful awards here in America are called the Legacy Awards, and the Ted Turners and the Murdochs and the big time people that have been very Paleys, have been successful in this world, get a Legacy Award. That's all I want to say, and that's given by the Library of Entertainment. That is important, so important what you said.
Thank you. Dr. Eric, what's your concluding remarks?
Well, I think it's a mixture of what Kim, David, and Rika said. You know, Kim talked about this idea of people wanting to get together with shared values and shared interests. And a lot of them are starting to gather in these communities, which are gathering toward these various efforts to build up the metaverse. So there's tons of these communities coming together right now. And then David brought up the fact that one of the problems within these universes is that there's meritocracy. People aren't given the same rules. And it turns out that we all like rules as long as they only apply to other people. So we make these rules and then we want to avoid them ourselves, because everybody would say, I don't want people lying, except if I get paid for lying, then of course that's a great thing. So in order to go that, people are putting in these metaverses, these distributed autonomous organizations, which is basically frameworks where we all come up with the world together, but then you have to live with the rules you said, which are implemented, like with Rika said, with AI, with tools. So you don't have a choice. So if you don't like the rules, you have to all get together. It's like saying, you know, the speed limit is 55. Turns out we don't like that. Instead of pretending that's a speed limit, you actually have to get together and say, yeah, I don't like it. Every time I drive over 55, I get a ticket. Let's move it up. So you actually agree and apply these rules without all this bias and things. Because it turns out if we make rules that we actually have to live by ourselves, the rules are different than if we make rules for other people and then violate. And the last part of that is then this idea of creation and control. And a lot of those are living on blockchain now, so that the things can be distributed without needing somebody big to control it, to distribute it. You know, you're getting control of that. So I think a lot of the idea is, you know, people are coming together in metaverses. They're coming up with common rules, applying those with distributed autonomous organizations, and they're starting to live on the blockchain where the data is available for everybody to try and make these things better, but it's also secure and protected. And I'll just go by saying there's a blending between work and play. Work is play for a lot of people. And in fact, there are plenty of games right now you can go online and you can get paid to play the game. Most of it is within cryptocurrency. But I'm actually working on that myself with a big organization. And you get paid to play, and people can create their own games to play together. And like there's a game where somebody created these characters, and then somebody created something called a HoloLens in that if you look at that, you see these hidden characters. And if you blink once, something happens. If you blink twice, something else happens. So you know, I think it's about groups coming together, creating environments which can be honest, and then being able to distribute that and work together. And I think it's about playing together, creating together, sharing together, and turning these into sustainable organizations.
Thank you. Madam Kimberly, what's your concluding remarks?
What's my what?
Madam Kimberly. Concluding remarks for today, yes.
Well, I can't hear you. It might be me.
Concluding remarks.
Okay.
Yes, concluding remarks. I truly believe that we just need to step up to the plate and take more responsibility, especially in the gaming industry. I do find it so very interesting how much people actually get paid to play. We have definitely turned the wheel considerably in this entertainment industry, where you now have skilled people in gaming making a tremendous, exorbitant amount of money just sitting around playing games. I think we need to be more responsible of the games that we allow to be out there. Again, this is something that I have been saying for many, many years, but I think that the entertainment industry, it's changing, it's evolving to where people want more information. And I am approached a lot lately about our our older model of what Nick and I had started, of we need more positive influences. We want more content like this instead of the negative, which has been quite surprising to me. And this isn't from the industry. This is from the people. This is from the audience, and people coming up to me and going, hey, what happened to that show you and Nick were doing? We really liked it. And I'm like, you really watched it? So I think people are ready for more positive influences. And I think if we just build it, they will start coming. And I think that our gaming industry needs to become that. I think our games also need to start teaching. Everyone is more into the game industry, but I mean teaching good things, not bad things, right? I think we need to teach them not how to go shoot up schools and run from police and racing. I think we need to teach them how to do more positive things, maybe how to build a business and file their taxes, or, you know, what is sustainability? What is our government fiduciary responsibility? I mean, those kind of things. But until then, I think we're going to be contending with a lot of issues. I also run into a lot of younger people who have this certain idealism of what the real world is based on what they have seen in entertainment. And the real world isn't what they're seeing. And I think we need to, hug for peace. That's right. Sorry, guys. Paul said something and I agree with him. We all need a big hug for peace. We need to start sending these messages out to let people know it's okay to love. It's okay to have peace. And I think we need to dissolve the contentions that we have in the United States, because we are a world leader in entertainment. And right now we have this huge divide politically and spiritually. And I think we need to unite it. And spiritually, I don't mean religion. You know, Paul knows me. I don't mean religion. I don't mean that, you know, your faith. I mean what we are and believe in others. We need to learn to respect each other. And our media doesn't work on that. Our media doesn't even share information that evolves that. Oh, a video game for hugs. Okay, folks, I'm going to change it up a little bit here. This is our new video game for hugs, okay? You need to join us on programs like what Sharif has been promoting, World Talent Economic Forum. This is not an advertisement. This is from the heart. And, you know, can I pass the scepter to Paul to carry on for me?
Okay, thank you.
I spoke already, but we do have a game called Hug for Peace, and it's on our woodstockforever.com website. Hug for Peace.
Thank you. Even Madam Kimberly, this is your. I know that you have excellent organization, but when you have to work with the globally, you need to engage with different culture, different language, different colorful people, and different accent as well. This is also important for the global things. So, Professor David Kelly, I know you are from AI industry, and we discuss Madam Richa from India, Professor David Kelly, Dr. Eric discuss about AI, how AI can help for our entertainment industry. But you are expert from AI industry, so how it will work, like how AI can help entertainment industries, or what will be the roles, and then final, what is your concluding remarks today?
I don't know if I'm an expert as much as I've been involved with it for over 40 years.
Yes.
One of the things I want to let people know is that AI is only as intelligent as HI, and it's only as intelligent as what we feed it. So we need to be very careful what we feed our artificial intelligence. And if we allow it to do everything for us, then we're not going to evolve. We're only supposed to utilize it to make our jobs easier and faster, right? But it's definitely not for accuracy. And I would be very, very careful in using it when you think you can replace humans. I think you need to let it become a part of making a human job easier, but stop replacing humans. I don't know how often I can preach this. I go to conferences and everyone thinks AI is supposed to replace humans. It was never intended for that. When we first started evolving with artificial intelligence, it was truly intended to make your job easier, to be able to sort through data faster. But again, you have to remember, what if that data is wrong? So your brain has to be sharp enough, and you still need to be educated enough to be able to discern the difference. You still need to be able to do math. You just might not be able to do it faster, but at the end of the day, you might come back and go, oh, wait a minute. Spencer here, my AI, calculated this wrong. All right. He did it faster, but maybe he did it wrong. So we still need to utilize our human intelligence. We need empathy, which is something that we've never, and we know we will never be able to replace. And this past year has been quite interesting to me because I've been able to kind of sit back and learn what technology is evolving to. And Alexa kind of scares me sometimes. I've got Alexa all over my house, and I'll talk to Alexa, and Alexa will come back to me like, have a good day, Kimberly. And you start feeling that emotional impact from something that's not human. Is kind of weird. And I look forward to it. I look forward to her waking me up every morning and saying, good morning, Kimberly. It's time to wake up. And here's the history of the day. Here's a joke of the day, rise and shine. I mean, she is truly as rise and shine and positive as you can get. And I'll thank her and she'll go, well, you have a wonderful day, Kim. You're welcome. And it's truly interesting to me what we have evolved our computerized systems into being, just based off of data that has been collected. When she starts feeding back on my emotions, that's just interesting to me. And that's what artificial intelligence is doing today, is it's literally able and capable to hear your voice and understand your tone of your voice and reply back. And this is something that I've been paying attention to this year of, wow, and how can we use that to help people, right? How can we utilize artificial intelligence to make lives a little bit more quality of life for people, right? To provide just a little bit more. But again, not to replace humans. You cannot replace the human hug. You cannot, I'm sorry, robot does not feel as good. I don't care how much we evolve a robot. A human hug, and they have said this time and again, can heal more illnesses and sicknesses and provide more strength than anything else in this world. And so I want people to understand artificial intelligence is just to improve our quality of life, not replace it.
Well, AI is bad when you give it the mission of capturing an individual's attention no matter what. That's bad.
Yes. That's right, Eric. You got that straight.
Because of subject matter expert, I think Professor David Kelly has some good answer. Professor David Kelly, yes.
Well, yes. So with artificial intelligence, I think we need to understand that there's two types, and for the most part, the narrow AI that we're seeing in production environments now can't really replace humans. And in terms of gaming, you see it a lot in agents that are running the background of the game or running characters in the games, or and then of course we see it in real life analyzing data. But I think as we move forward, more and more we'll see what you would call cognitive architecture, agent-based AI, and some of those systems will become increasingly human. And some of the ones I've seen in research programs actually use emotions to make decisions and can think creatively. And I think, hopefully we'll replace a lot of various jobs, and people will need to learn new roles. I don't think replacing jobs or replacing humans is as bad as people think, because I think we can create new jobs for people, and I think in the past, every time we've automated jobs or replaced jobs, there's always been new jobs that we could create in the economy as the economy evolved. So I don't think there's as much danger with AI actually replacing people. But we'll replace jobs, but not necessarily people. We'll just have new jobs, and the problem with that just will be making sure there are programs out there to help people transition to new careers. In any case, like I mentioned, my field, I tend to be more on the cognitive architecture research side. So it's like in our lab, my goal is really creating AI that thinks emotionally and can make its own decisions and have its own goals and really be a person unto itself. And I think in games and virtual environments that'll among other things, it'll make it a lot more exciting, especially when they can create new content on the fly and things like that.
Thank you everyone for joining today's session. This is really great discussions, and from World Talent Economy Forum next 1 year we have a lot of program in Asia Pacific, because in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, China, even India, we are organizing our event, we are organizing our training program, and we are helping different government. We are developing policy as well for different governments. So those who want to help our initiative for World Talent Economy Forums, you can, from IBM TV, from Pacific Rim Business Council, from Good News, from Mr. David Kelly, Mr. Richa. You have an excellent foundations. Mr. Professor David Smith always support World Talent Economy Forums. You can support our initiative, and that is the way actually World Talent Economy Forum growing. We are more focused on talent economy. We respect and we are bringing different talent from different level of Asia Pacific. So hopefully it will be very interesting, and next 1 year will be more interesting in terms of our initiative. We are very much action oriented. Beside this dialogue, we are developing public private partnership with Malaysian governments, with other governments as well. I think already we arranged the open dialogues with climate change departments in Malaysia. Beside that, we are organizing event for startup village. Even some point in India, in China, in Malaysia, in the kampung, in the village area, we are developing our projects, and we do a lot of research. Especially we do focus on artificial intelligence, gender issues, different cutting edge technology. So those who want to join in our team, they can join, they can support. So your initiative, your support will be very, very helpful for us. Thank you, Professor David Smith, Dr. Eric, Madam Kimberly, Madam Richa, Mr. Paul, and Professor David Kelly for joining today's sessions. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.